Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Reach Podcast Show with LeVar Ellis. As you can see, it's about to be an exciting episode this morning. You know, I got my Houston gear on. I'm getting in my Houston Texans mode. It's football season. It's a lot going on, man. And we have a very special guest that'll be coming in just a little bit. But of course, as I always start off with, I want to recognize again, everybody pretty much at this point that's dealing with this COVID-19 has altered our lives in so many different ways. It's made us be creative. It's made us dig in. And for some people, unfortunately, we've crumbled a little bit and we're rebuilding. So just know that I'm trying to do everything I can with my organization and the different organizations that I'm part of and volunteering with. And just know that if you're watching this show and you're dealing with it, you're definitely in our minds at all times. So just keep fighting the fight and just keep moving forward and being the best you. As we know, it's 2020, so everybody's screaming 2020 vision, and that's what it's all about. So just stay focused and do the best that you can. Also, I'd also like to thank my show sponsors. Of course, none other than Ms. Candace Joseph and the Joseph Consulting Firm. Let's get with them for all of the needs that they can provide. I just tell you to click the website that you see scrolling at the bottom. Tell them LeVar Ellis sent you. Tell them the Reach Podcast sent you. Tell them Dad Chronicle sent you. You know, and I appreciate you guys over there, that whole team. Y'all do so much for me and for this show. I appreciate you guys to the fullest. And then also to our new family over at Smile Avenue Dental, Family Dental, Dr. Reed and her whole staff and her whole crew over there. I appreciate you guys out in Alvin. So we're going to get to the show, man. And you know, it's just going to go by so quick, but I want to make sure that everybody understands. You see this t-shirt that I have on, DJ for GM. I'm going to bring my man, Mr. Garrick Jones, into the shot. Good morning, brother. Hold on. There we go.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah. Appreciate you coming on the show, man. I appreciate everything that you're doing. You already know I'm standing behind you 10 toes and 2 feet down, brother. So, you know, welcome to the Reach Podcast Show, man. You know, and so I just like you to introduce who you are, and then there's a couple things that I like to put up on the screen so that, of course, people can see it and understand how busy you are. Just number one, you know. And but yeah, go ahead and say what's up to the people, man.
Folks, I'm happy to be here. My name is Garrick Jones. For those that do not know me, I am in the middle of a major push for general manager of the Houston Texans. I'm a former Houston Texan. I played about 5 years in the NFL. I played about another 5 or so in the CFL, and I finished my career out in the IFL. So I'm a veteran of 3 different leagues. I am the president of the Huddle Foundation of Houston, which is the nonprofit leg of the NFLPA Houston chapter, in which I'm the treasurer there. I'm the co-founder and commissioner of the state's Developmental Football League, in which we'll get into that a little bit. But I think I'm a modern day Renaissance man, you know, by the term and definition. I've had my hands in so many different things over the years that now it's just time to share with the rest of the world what we got on the table. So I'm happy to be here and happy to go through everything that I have going on and bring you guys into my world for a bit.
Absolutely, man. And we appreciate the opportunity to do that, be part of this journey firsthand. And we're going to let people know how they can, you know, not necessarily firsthand be part of it, but they can definitely ride with you and show their support with that petition and everything. So, you know, I like to just talk about the little different organizations, you know, being the treasurer and the commissioner of the NFLPA. Talk about that a little bit, man. What does that entail and how does that pull your coat? Because it's getting pulled in a bunch of ways.
Yeah, it is. But it's cool, though, man. I mean, the treasurer situation with the NFLPA Houston chapter is just that. I'm over the books. I also handle marketing and promotion, you know, with the chapter, because that's a company that I started back in the 9th grade, Southern Flavor Images, you know, where we do freelance design, promotions, websites, all those different things. So my thing has really been about, you know, giving the chapter a bigger brand in the city of Houston, because we have over 1,500 to 1,600 members in the city of Houston itself. And these are all former NFL athletes, CFL athletes, guys that have been all over the place that made Houston or the outskirts their homes. And what we do is, we're really about brotherhood. I mean, the NFL itself is probably one of the biggest fraternities there is, but it's a small situation. And less than 1% of all athletes make it to the NFL. So when we're done, and as we are, current players, and when we are former players, it's all about bridging that gap between each other. And a lot of guys have so many different things going on that, we just try to keep up with each other and just fellowship, man, and just help each other along, the lines of the transitions and things that go on in life on a daily basis. So it's really been cool to now be teammates with guys that you either played with or played with other teams, because we're all on the same team now.
Yeah, that's good, man. And it's awesome that you guys do that, as far as the fellowshipping and coming back together and keeping a tight knit, man. So you're a commissioner of that same chapter as well?
No, well, I'm just a treasurer in regards to that, but I'm a board member. But in regards to being a commissioner, that's with the State's Developmental Football League.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was going to ask you next is let's go into that. SDFL. I know that's your baby.
Yeah, that's my baby, man. The State's Developmental Football League, it's I think it's a hybrid of all the different leagues that I've been a part of. All the things that I didn't see that I felt I would need when it came down to the transition, in life after the sports, life after the lights, rather. A lot of times X's and O's it doesn't equate to success off of the field when you're done. Because everything's been so regimented, it's been itineraries. We got a new team every week. Then you have maybe a month or so in the off season, and then you're right back into that same mix. But when you're done playing, you don't really get the opportunity to focus on life, focus on communication, focus on your family, focus on business, focus on, financial literacy, business, entrepreneurship, branding, because your time has been spent trying to be the best professional athlete as possible. And like I said before, that doesn't equate to success when you're done. A lot of guys don't get the opportunity to really get into it because that's been their focus. And what we wanted to do with the SDFL was teach athletes and teach their families how to be, independent, self-sufficient, and be pillars of the community. And I wasn't seeing that in a lot of different leagues. It's you come in and you put your time in, and it's pretty much good luck to you. They may have some reactive programs, set for guys, but it was never anything that was a 365, day a year type of situation. And that's what we wanted to put into play with the State's Developmental Football League. We wanted to marry free enterprise and football, and that equals the SDFL.
Yeah, that's good, man. And so I know that's a big deal, dealing with that whole situation, and to be able to bring that whole platform and, trying to incorporate it is going to be definitely a good thing. And so why is it so important for these athletes to understand business and to, get into that? Because I know you're retired way longer than you're a player.
Absolutely, brother. The NFL or any professional sport is the best temporary job you'll ever have. Normally when you're done, you still have, 30 or 40 to 50 years left of life. And it's a really quick situation, for a lot of athletes. And it's a lot smaller, a lot faster for a lot of different athletes. I mean, the expectancy in the NFL as far as careers is 3.5 years, if that. You're always one injury away from not being able to play again. And, you look at the situation with Dak Prescott. That's the type of scenario where his career is hanging in the balance. I mean, I know he'll put in the work to rehab and get better and try to come back. But once something like that's happened, I mean, it's a psychological situation. And guys, we've been programmed to play through pain, to go through this and go through that. But it's never been a paramount type of situation when it came down to learning about those things. So when it comes down to business, you're a brand within a brand. You have to learn how to leverage the fact that you've made it when less than 1% of all athletes across the world made it. And guys don't really get into that until you're on the way out. And it's unfortunate because you need to be thinking about these things when you are in high school, going to college. These are big brands. These are $1 million earning corporations and companies. But unfortunately for us, we don't see it like that. We look at the NFL as the end all, when it's just a platform to do bigger and better things. So what we want to do is expose, and then we want to educate, and then from there you get the real movement. So that's how we look at it, man. your brand is something that can create generational wealth. You want to make sure that you're able to take care of your family from the grave. And a lot of guys don't get that. And that's what we're just trying to teach, and just trying to teach from testimony when it comes down to those things.
Yeah, that's good, man. And the fundamental things, they just meet you at every level, and it's all about how you capitalize on them. So, I definitely salute you for keeping that at the forefront. So many people get fortunes, and later on in life, man, you think they've been a bum all their life, so that's definitely something that we gotta get rid of, and have those brands to count on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and that's, you think about it. Where I come from, I wasn't exposed to, financial literacy. I wasn't exposed to insurance practices. I wasn't exposed to digital currencies. I watched my family, my mom and my pops, work hard. They just retired a couple of years ago, and that's working for somebody else. I never was exposed to ownership until I really just came out and said, you know what, I think that I want to do something on my own. So there's always other options. You just have to be exposed to them. There are a lot of things that I've been exposed to once I was a professional athlete that I never would have been exposed to if I hadn't made it to this position. So it's all about giving back and just teaching. Once you do that, you give people the opportunity to be what they need to be. And that's where you get into generational wealth and making sure that generations have the opportunity to be successful. And it's about passing it down and leaving this world in a better place than when we got here. And that's what it is.
Yeah. And that's cool. So if you don't mind me asking, is it just you with the SDFL, just being the head, or do you have a large group of people that you're working with, just to give people understanding?
Yeah, I co-founded the State's Developmental Football League with Mr. Byron Clay. It's my business partner, friend, one of the guys that I was able to bounce different ideas off of. When we kind of went back and forth and just said, look, let's build a platform that we're going to make that is going to be scalable. Make a platform that would be able to help other people that are part of what we're doing brand what they're doing. So they're able to leverage what we're doing in order to build their businesses. So it just makes it advantageous for all parties involved.
Yeah.
And that's really the biggest thing that we wanted to do. But we have a good group of individuals that have been solid over the years. We've been at this thing since 2012 and we've lost people, but they're still there. It's just about rotating people to the right position because unfortunately, people just want to play football, and it's bigger than a game. And that's what we had to teach them. We were saying, look, we're beta testing all of these aspects of what we want to do because our league is so much bigger and so much broader than other leagues. So I always say, compared to the SDFL, everything else is just football. And we are teaching from testimony in life and making sure that the people in our organizations are going to be, pillars of the community and making social impacts and all those different things.
That's what's up, man. Which takes us to the next thing that you're a part of. And man, this is just still your introduction. You're also the president of the Huddle Up Houston Foundation. And that I know you said that's the nonprofit part of it, right?
Yeah, right.
All right. And so what does that do? And how does that work? And it's funny because I think it was last year. I was supposed to go to the event. I think it was at what was the golf place, man?
Oh, the Top Golf tournament that we had.
Golf.
Yes,
I probably would have met you then, but I couldn't make
man.
it to that event. And then the next thing I know, I meet you a different way. So it was meant to be. Absolutely,
man. Now that was a great event, man. That's one of our annual events that we do for charities, cancer research, all those different things. But for the Huddle Up Foundation of Houston, I was elected by my peers, as the guy that they wanted to be the president, the guy that was going to turn the organization into something that would be something that the guys could be proud of. And what I wanted to do was just implement everything that I was doing already through the State's Developmental Football League, and that be my offering to what we're doing, because all of these guys have different initiatives that they want to be a part of. All of these guys have different things that they want to bring to the table to add value. And with Huddle Up, the job for us is to bridge that gap between the fans and the players and now everybody's family, but also with the players, teach them and show them the right aspects of setting up nonprofits, fiscal sponsorships, all the different things for the communities that they live in and want to serve, because we're all servant leaders. And those are the things that the Huddle Up does. We really focus on teaching and putting everybody in a position to be able to use and leverage what they've done on the field to do even more and make a bigger impact out the field.
That's good, man. That's good. And that's something that's needed as well, man. So, I mean, of course, there's a million other things. We ain't gonna talk about being dad and all the other things we were talking about, but that's also a part of life. But that's just a little bit on what you do on a daily, man. And again, I salute you for all of that, because that's a grind. Yeah, that's definitely a grind.
Appreciate it,
man.
No, I said no. Appreciate that, man. Got it.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. But let's get into what we're here for, man. These Houston Texans, and trying to get you to be the head man over there, and you have the campaign. So I'll let you just introduce that campaign, and I'll put how they can click and sign that petition, and just take it away, brother.
Well, I will say the situation with the Houston Texans is what it is. Excuse me. We've watched the organization, have success, but it's been, a cap on it, if you will. And that has become the standard for a number of years in the city of Houston when it comes down to the level of success with the Houston Texans. And with the recent firing of Bill O'Brien, there is a vacancy there in regards to the head coaching position, in regards to the general manager position. So since March, I started a petition, stating that I wanted to be the next general manager of the Houston Texans when that opportunity arose or when it became vacant. And basically what I've done is I've utilized the petition platform to turn it into a press kit of sorts where people can go and get a better feel for me. People can go and get all of the different interviews, the articles that I've been a part of, the teams, and different dynamics when it comes down to my resume and my body of work, and learn about me, so you can learn about the credentials, you can learn about the things I've been doing and the innovative ways that I really look at the game, and not only look at the game, but look at how to communicate with the players and bridge the gap with the fans so they have a voice, and also show that, when it comes down to the leadership and the management aspects of it, I've been doing that for a number of years. So when it comes down to the wealth of knowledge, I wanted everybody to see that. And I wanted to put myself out there and let people know, listen, I'm here for the city. I'm here to bring a Super Bowl here. That has not been the talk. The talk has been, we get here and that's fine. We're going to do better next year. We'll get it next year. When we have to win now, that has to be the mindset and mentality for the city, the mindset and mentality for this organization. And all I'm asking for is an opportunity to get into the room, because once I get into the room, I will show, the powers that be, the owners, Cal and Janice McNair and whoever else is there, why I should really be seriously considered for this position. Because, at the end of the day, I'm a former player, so I know what that workload is. I've been a fan, so I know what that workload is for the fans. And I've also, ran businesses. I've consulted. I've done independent things with different businesses, whether it be Fortune 500 companies, billion-dollar CEOs. It doesn't matter. I'm able to tote the note across the board. So the petition is just that, man. It's about me. It's about giving everybody the opportunity to learn about me. And once you're comfortable with me, understanding that I'm going to bring the mentality of a win now approach when it comes down to the Houston Texans, because we have to have our own identity. We're not the New England Patriots. We're not the Kansas City Chiefs. We're not the New Orleans Saints. We're the Houston Texans. And it's time for us to brand our own identity. When other teams come to NRG or we go somewhere else, they understand that they got to pack their lunch. And it's an offensive lineman's mentality, because that's the position I played. I come to work every day and I'm consistent. And I just want people to understand that. And I want the companies that are consulting in regards to the hiring of the next GM, just give me an opportunity and I'll change your mind completely on what you thought needed to happen with that organization.
Yeah. And so, I know there's a lot of different aspects to this deal, and I'm not sure if you can answer these type of questions, but, I'm here to be the people's voice. So
yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. This is what we're here for.
What would be one of the first changes you would like to make, being in that GM seat? What is one of the first things you'd like to do for the team specifically? What is something that you would implement?
The culture. The culture has to be something that is a paramount and is a priority. With that priority, is establishing our identity. And before you come in and start, firing people and hiring people, the entire organization that's there now has to understand what the change is and why the change is happening. I'd like to sit down and talk with as many people in the organization right now to get a feel for where it went wrong, because they got the answers. They have the answers. For me to bring somebody from the outside in and say, hey, look, I want you to talk to people and consult. No, the answers are right there under us. And it's all about intentional communication. Once the culture is solidified and set, now that's when we get into learning how to communicate with each other. And it doesn't take long. I have different companies that I deal with that will have the tools and be able to utilize the tools in order to make sure that we understand exactly what everybody in that building needs. And now when I sit down and talk to these coaches that, we'll be looking to hire, they will understand exactly what's needed, what is expected of them, and how we can work together in order to give them what they need. And it's all about figuring out what the pie is, because individually, we can make some noise, but together we can change the world. And that's the culture. This is what I do. This is what I do.
Man, and I meant to do this earlier, but the other thing, man, I have to definitely acknowledge our girl, man, RIP to Erin Tobelman, with the way we met, a late night call, got on the Zoom call, and she was like, hey, you have to meet him. And I'm like, okay. And then, you just cool as a fan. And so, God rest her soul, man. I called you when that happened, and that was just crazy to me. So, I definitely got to pay my respects. And this is no other than a better time, because she is the definite reason that we even came into contact, man. We know her soul and the type of person she was. So, salute to her and her family, man. God bless y'all if any of y'all are watching, and RIP to Erin Tobelman, man. So, I just had to take that side note. But so the culture, man, that's definitely important. And I don't know if you got a chance to see the comments yesterday, but my cousin got on here saying exactly what you were saying. He talking about, man, tell your boy to talk to the Baltimore Ravens and this and that, because the banners and this and that and the other. We got to win something. And I mean, that's true, because I wasn't done with the team. A lot of my people are, man, you trading. Nah, for me, that whole, I know I could say it, that Bill O'Brien thing, it just was too tough for me to deal with that D. So I know that's one of the things that people want to hear, how you feel about it. And again, I know there's certain things that go with it, but how do you feel about that situation? And maybe, I know it's too late, but maybe how would you have handled the situation with D-Hop?
Well, it's all about connection. The era that Bill O'Brien came from was my era, right? Where, it's my way or the highway. It's, ruling with an iron fist. You got to be organizational, when it comes down to the leadership. But the generation of today is totally different. And if you're not willing to learn how to meet them in the middle and connect, there's always going to be a disconnect. And that's exactly what's happened. And that's the disconnect with the fans. That's the disconnect with the current players, the former players, and in the organization. You have to have a leader that is able to bridge all of those gaps and be the glue. That's a lot of pressure. And then you throw head coach on top of that. Then you throw this and that on top of that. When you have absolute power, that breeds absolute corruption. And there's no checks and balances. There's nobody there to hold you accountable. And from the teamwork aspect of things, when I was playing ball, I've dealt with teamwork my entire life. So there's always somebody there where we were working toward a common goal, and they would hold me accountable like I would hold them accountable. Because if you don't do your job, we don't win. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's what happened in the organization. And that ultimately led to the trading of DeAndre Hopkins, which he's a guy that's he's a once in a lifetime guy. And you have to acknowledge that, and you have to respect that. So in order to get respect, you have to give it. And a lot of these coaches don't understand that, because a lot of these guys have not been in that professional fire on their field and in a locker room and understanding how this thing goes. So they treat guys, they may come from college, and those are 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old guys. But when you come to the professional ranks, these are grown men with problems. These are grown men who are taking care of families. These are grown men who are fighting for their position and their actual spot every day. Because if you don't get it done, they'll bring somebody else in to replace you. And there's guys coming in every Tuesday to replace all of these guys. So there's no job security. So you have to be able to connect with them and let them know that, look, I have your best interests in mind when it comes down to what we want to do together and what you need to do individually. And if you don't have that in a leader, it's hard to get the best out of those players. Because realistically, if you look at what was happening and what was going on over these last few years, the players were playing for each other and they were operating at 30 to 40%. So just think about if they really are connected with leadership, they're really connected with the coaching, and they're really connected with the fans, and now they're operating at 90 to 100%, we're talking Super Bowl. That is the only conversation that we need to be talking about. It's not rebuilding, because there's talent in the building to get the job done. They're professionals. There's a reason why they are the elite, and people forget that because they have never been there before. They've never been educated on it. And that's where I step in. My job is to expose everybody to everything that's going on and now educate so everybody has a better understanding of what it's going to take for the entire city of Houston to have this parade and hoist that Lombardi trophy up. Simple as that.
Simple as that, man. I like it. And also for the viewers, man, if y'all have any questions, put them in the comments, and I'll be sure to put them up and we'll pose them to GJ, and I'm sure he'll be having the answers for you. But says something that basically leads to the next thing I was going to ask is the team. There's always conspiracy theories and this and that, and of course we finally got rid of the O'Brien problem, last week and a half ago, and then here it is, we get our first win. Right. So speaking to the point of the guys playing for themselves, and not really playing for the coach, do you feel like they were not playing because of him? Do you feel like they were trying to get him gone, or because that's a big deal, you tank the season and get rid of the coach and do this, that, and the other? What's your take on that part of it?
Well, I think it was a combination of what led up to this year, from years past, just the way things were happening, the way things were happening in upper management, the way things were happening with coaching, and just that whole, I just want to say that whole situation was a combination of what went on into this year. Then you got the COVID situation. Now you're coming into it and you're playing. And it's the same thing that has been happening over and over again. Once you get rid of a lot of different players, and then once you get rid of a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, those guys are family. We're family. So if you start removing my family members and then expect for me to go out and produce, that's hard to bounce back from. If I don't know specifically what the vision is and how it's going to help us, and there's no communication when it comes down to it, we got a problem. So that's how people look at it. The fans a lot, because I'm a part of a lot of different fan groups, and I'm listening to these people, and I'm going back and forth with them and conversing. But the players are expendable to everybody else. But what they fail to realize is that if you look at it, that's a family. Those guys play for each other. So when the coaching calls are bad, the players have to rise above coaching, and they're playing for each other. So when you continually have to rise above coaching, that drains and depletes you. And then to be in a position where, you're shipping guys in and out, you're losing family members. So now you're expected to go out there and be 100%, and you have these targets on your back, and that's not fair to the athletes. And people don't know that. People do not know that. And this is what the educational portion of the deal is. You have to understand that locker room is a family. And when you start taking people away and you bring other people in, that's hard to bounce back from, especially when there's chemistry there, especially when these guys have relationships. Now you no longer have the opportunity to talk with your friend after practice, or your brother after practice. I don't even say friend, your brother. And if you look to the management and leadership, and it's my way or the highway, that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
there has to be a clear and concise vision for people to buy into. Otherwise, what are we doing? Yeah.
And salute to everybody who's logging in. Kendron, I'm hoping I'm saying it right. Kendron Mitchell. The comment is, and I got it up on the screen, not only remove a family member, but not even bring players that can make the team better. And that's to me speaks straight to the DeAndre Hopkins. Not only did you just get rid of him for nothing, right? You didn't really, salute David Johnson. But come on, man. Right. How do you get rid of D-Hop for David Johnson? Right. It just don't make sense to me, well, and that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Can you make that make sense? Or is it just, it happened, we got to let it go?
Well, no, because I know different. And that's where I can come in and kind of shed the light on it. when you have, let's just say, alpha dogs in your locker room, and you are, quote unquote, the leader, if you're not able to connect with them and them understand what's going on and how we're going to go, and I don't think anybody was talking Super Bowl, right? So we don't know what the objective is. We just coming to practice, and we're gonna win as many games as we can. It doesn't work like that. There was no specific end game. There was no goal in mind. And then when you're bumping heads and you're clashing, because you have that power, now you can send people anywhere you want and bring the people in that will be, submissive when it comes down to, I'm a team player. I just want to come in and play. Guys that you've talked to or had relationships with that, oh, you're the best thing since sliced bread, so whatever you say is the gospel. And you can't win like that. You have to have some of the meanest. You got to have some of the realest people in those locker rooms in order to be able to get over that hump. And as a leader, you got to be able to adjust your coaching style and your leadership style in order to bring out the best in the people around you. And I don't think that was happening. So you got to get rid of a lot of guys when you're in that position and you want to be the alpha and omega. And that's what happened. And it's unfortunate because DeAndre Hopkins is a once in a lifetime guy. It takes 2 or 3 years to bounce back from losing somebody like that. But in our position, we don't have that luxury now. We have to win. And for me to go in, it's up to me to get the best out of everybody that's in that locker room now, get the best out of everybody that's in that building, and put that together and mesh that. Because when I was with the Texans, I rarely talked to the people in the building. I wouldn't even see them. So my job is I'm going to bridge that gap, and we're all going to come together as one. And I'm going to address everybody so everybody understands what the goal is. And here's how we're going to do it. Watch me, because if you can outwork me, we got a chance. So I'm challenging everybody in the building, everybody on the field to outwork me. I will be the catalyst for all of it. And that's what has to happen. And I don't think that that's what was happening with these last few regimes that's been there, man.
Okay. And that makes plenty of sense. And I know when you say, and this is just a personal question of mine, what you got left in the tank? So when you say outwork you still able to get on that field and do some working out with them guys, and do a little something?
Whatever it takes, right? whatever it takes.
Absolutely.
And what I'm not able to do, I will have people that are able to go out and demonstrate and show them how it needs to look. Like the people I'm going to bring to the table will be people who have won Super Bowls. There's a reason why there's an NFLPA situation attached to my name. I have access to those guys, and I want to bring them in the building because they can teach and mentor the current guys that are playing right now how to have the right mindset, how to take the right steps, how to be a professional. So when they come in, all they're doing is stepping into the right dynamic for them to be as successful as possible. Same thing in business.
Lead by example is what I'm hearing, and that's definitely what it takes.
Come on, man. This is what I do. I'm going to lead by example because I know, because of former players, we can get out there and we can show, or we can tell you how it works. So you will know exactly. And that's where the connection comes from. And I'm a firm believer in it. If I've never been there before, how can I tell you how to get there? And current players play harder for former players. They will go out there and they will lay a line because they respect guys that are former players. And if you know what you're talking about, and if you know the business and know the game, and they see that, now they'll go out there and they'll give their lives because they know that you have their best interests in mind, and you're going to be able to make sure that they can take care of their families for the rest of their lives. And that's what guys just want, that security, because there's no security in the NFL, man. They want to know that. And that's what we want to bring to the table for them.
And reminding the folks maybe who've just tuned in, what you're speaking on about that is the first thing you teach them is the business, and that's what that's all about, for the folks who just tuned in, being the co-founder of the SDFL, that's where you teach those fundamentals and, explain to those players how they make what they're doing the head of what they're going to do for the rest of their life, So we were talking about D-Hop, man, so we have to easily move to Deshaun Watson. They recently gave him a contract, and how do you see him? Do you feel like he's definitely a future of our organization? And what are maybe some things that you would tweak or, push more that he's doing? Just how do you feel about him as the head of the organization as far as the players?
For me, Deshaun Watson is the face of the organization. And you have to govern yourself accordingly when it comes down to building a team around that. He has to have a family around him. The same way his family was there for him, as he was young and was coming up, you have to put that around him. His family, his immediate family has to feel comfortable with what you're doing as an organization. And that's what I intend to do. I intend to put the right people around him that's going to make sure that he's as successful as he can be, because I want to see him elevate to a level that he's never dreamed of. A lot of these guys, you got to understand, I want more for him than he wants for himself. And it's the same for the organization. When you have somebody that is willing to push you and pull you and do everything that they can in order to make sure that you're successful because they're a servant leader, you got it. And that's exactly what the situation will be there. And it's the same with all the players. It's not just one. You got all these other players out there because he's a quarterback. And as an offensive lineman, if I don't block and do what I'm supposed to do, he can't do anything that he needs to do. So It's a teamwork aspect. It's a family aspect. So the entire team will be in that family position. And from there, all of these different families that are immediate families of all these players can rest and have a sigh of relief that we got them. We're going to make sure that they're going to be okay. And if you have an athlete that is drafted, with the Houston Texans, and we bring him in, we're bringing him in to retire with us. He's not a Band-Aid. He's not just somebody. We're going to put the work in. The scouts are there for a reason. I've evaluated talent for about 14, 15 years now. I was able to evaluate talent because I told these scouts that I was supposed to be in the NFL, and they told me no. So I know what it looks like, tastes like, feels like in order to be the best that you can be. And those are the qualities that need to be brought to the table, because it has to be a family. It has to be a situation where he's comfortable. And he's like, you know what? I know that they got me no matter what. And now he can go out and perform on the field because I can't do it. And I tell athletes all the time, if I have to go back out on the field after I've given you all this wisdom, I'm going to go get paid again.
Yeah.
So it's up to you. We'll put you in the best position, but now we got to transfer it to the field. And everything that we've taught you, let's go get this Super Bowl, because that's the only thing I'm talking about.
Yep. And you said something I know a little bit. And again, my objective with this whole interview is to let anybody who views my show have a strong platform and understanding of this GJ for GM and why they should vote that way or sign that petition that way. So I know the story about how you say you made it to the NFL. I don't know if you should say off the sweat of off your back. How do you say that? You made it to the NFL how?
Oh, just from the trunk of my car.
The trunk of your car. That's right. My bad.
Right.
You made
you
the trunk of your car. So explain that whole deal a little bit more, because that'll give them an even more in-depth understanding of you.
Okay. Well, I went to Arkansas State University, which is, I guess, the other Arkansas. If you talk to a lot of people from Arkansas, I had the opportunity to play against some stiff talent. All the schools that recruited me, we were independent, so we were playing Miami's, we were playing Georgia's, we were playing LSU's, Oklahoma. The year they won the championship, back in the day, we were playing all these teams all year. So I've competed against 10 or so guys that went first through fourth round, and I had a lot of individual victories. I'll put it to you like that. We didn't have a lot of team victories, but individually. However, by the time I was finished with my junior year, I had a lot going on. It was a lot of family situations. It was a lot of stuff in school, everything that you can think of. And me being the type of person that I am, I chose to step back, because I knew if I would have continued to go down the road that I was going, you wouldn't be talking to me today. So ultimately, I stepped back. I didn't have a senior season of college. And while I was at home, I was working odd jobs. I was waking up at, 3, 4 in the morning, going and working out 3 times a day, just to be there at home and be close to the family and work the family business and just really take it back to the basics. But as things leveled out, in the family dynamic and everything that I had going on, my folks were like, listen, you're not happy. And we can tell. What are you going to do? And I knew that I wasn't a work for a company for 40, 50-year type of guy. I knew it was something more to it, right? So I decided to try to give it a shot, man. And I linked up with a group of individuals that were scouting individually. They were doing their own independent consulting situation, John Murphy and Steve Brown and those guys. And I just shot an email, out of nowhere. And they reached back out to me and that was the start of the chain reaction. So I got a hold of some scout schedules and I left Little Rock and I followed those scouts all the way to LA and from LA back to Mobile, Alabama, everywhere I could just show up. And they were telling me, no, you can't do it. I mean, we'll look you in your face and say, no, it's not going to happen. But eventually they began giving me these workouts. I mean, they were working me out in rain and mud and 2-3 in the morning. I was running 40s in hotel hallways. I mean, anything that you can think of to break my spirit. But I knew this was something that God gave me. This was something I needed to do. So I had to, gain that respect from them. And ultimately, here I am today. And it was one of those things where I'm not here to tell you that you can't make it to the NFL, because you can, and I've done it, and I can show you how to do it. So when it comes to odds mean nothing to me. When people tell me I can't do something, I'm one no away from the yes that's going to change the world. And that's what these teams and these people in these organizations, they got to feel that. And I don't think they have leadership in place that can give them that when I'm right here. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I'm getting the fans involved. So they now have a voice and these players have a voice and everybody has a voice in the matter to where we can make the history that other people read about. I've done it. I don't shy away from it. This is what I do. I mean, like I say, this is a part of my makeup.
Yeah. And that's the part that I wanted to get out, man. That's the biggest thing for me. And keep doing what you're doing, because that's what's important. And the first thing I asked you, what would you change in the culture? There it is right there. Just allow these people to adapt your mindset, your work ethic, and even just challenging them, because we always know there's somebody that's better than us. But hey, you're going to have to show me, so if you feel like you can do it, outwork me then. And then guess what? Right. You're still fulfilling what I'm trying to do, because we're going to be heading in the right direction, and we're going to do it together. So, that was the one thing that I wanted to make sure that everybody heard. And so shout out to Candace Joseph. Shout out to Mika Diamond. She just got on. She's tuned in. She say, keep pushing. And shout out to my boy, Nick T and Robert Cole, man. What's up? I know you got some questions. That's my boy, man. We talk Texans all the time.
Yeah, man. Tell him to come with the questions, man. This is
something you want to say. Just put it up on the comments. Mika, you're not allowed to ask a question. You're a Saints fan.
Come on, Nick. Tell Mika too. Come on. We got to convert her. Come on, man. Tell them to bring all the questions. They got to get this, man. They got to understand what this is, because this is bigger than ball. Yes, this is legacy building. This is what we talk about, kings and queens. This is what we do. And that's the dynamic that has to be implemented in other people's mindsets. And the only way that that's going to happen is they got to see it. A lot of people got to see stuff to believe it. When you have a king and a queen mindset, you can see the stairs when other people can't. And I've been in that position. Like, this is old hat to me. I've done this before when I made it to the NFL the first time. So this is nothing. This is the heavy lifting has been done. We're good.
Yeah. And I notice you say all the time, just put you in there. This is the easy part. Just open that door, let you walk in, and then you'll show it. So, that's the thing that I'm waiting on. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully they come to light with it. So, and that gives me a segue. I was going to talk about the petition. How close or what is the petition looking like? How helpful is that to you? And I know it's a small piece of the pie, but what does that look like for you as far as the petition and tell these people why they should be signing on it right now? Because, I'm going to put it up and make sure that it stays up during the whole show. Now people are commenting, so I'm trying to put up these comments too.
Yeah. No, you good. Let's do the comment. Well, I mean, I'll talk about the petition. So with the petition, guys, it's really simple. Every signature is currency. Every signature is something that is going to dictate what the bottom line looks like. So with these teams, everybody's in this thing to eat. We need money. We need money to keep the lights on. We need money to move around, buy clothes, eat, all those different things. So organizations are no different. So with each signature, that's an opportunity for it to be a dollar amount attached to it. So you think about all the petitions that are out there right now, all the different fan engagement groups that I have actually moderate and I admin, and the different things that I've done in my own following. If you look at all those numbers, you're looking at around, for me personally, we're looking at 200,000, signatures, just if you put everything together. But you got to really look at what the cost for a family of 4 to go to a Texans game is. That's around $500. So if you got 100,000 signatures, you're going to divide that by 4 because you got a family of 4. That's going to give you 25,000. You're going to take that 25,000 and you're going to multiply that times that 500. It's around $12.5 million a game that comes through the door with me, or could possibly go to another team with me. You see what I'm saying? So it's about really breaking down
hold on, GJ, hold on.
Yes, sir.
Going to another team stuff. We're not having that, man.
Bro, listen, hey, and that's the thing. You got to look at it like this.
Do what you got to do, though, bro.
No, that's what you got to understand. There are 31 other teams. It's the same thing as a player. So what one team may not want, there are other teams looking at what we're doing. You see what I'm saying?
No, you definitely do. You move like you need to move, bro.
Right, exactly. You
got to do what you got to do.
Man, I would prefer to be here, and that's it, because that's the connection. But a lot of times people don't get it, and that's why I'm involving the fans, because we collectively have to put this thing into play and be able to go in and the voices that you guys have. I want to be an echo of that when I sit down, with Janice and Kyle and say, look, I was in on the bottom floor of this thing. I had a relationship, with Mr. McNair when it came down to talking about business and just getting insight. I mean, he would tell me 1 or 2 things in passing. And we had that type of relationship where I could ask him really quickly, how do you feel about this? And he would just tell me, and he'd keep going. But he knew I got it because of the hustle and the different things that I was doing, setting up tours in China for artists and running labels and doing my business while I'm playing football, doing all the things from the philanthropic space, Garrick Jones Day in the city of Houston, all these different things. I'm doing it while I'm a professional athlete, and he saw that and he respected that. So that type of hustle, that type of ambition, that type of grind is the culture that needs to be within the Texan organization. And I intend to bring that back to the table because we need our own identity, man. It's time.
Absolutely. Hey, man, and seriously, I'm pausing, just tell you, of course, like I say, definitely want you to do what you got to do, man. And I totally understand. Don't take that no kind of way, but we want all this here. But I'm going to shift to a few questions, and I'm going to go back. We have we got an acknowledgement first. So Mika, she put it in writing. I'm going to put it up on the screen so we can go back to it, man. She say she will convert when the shift happens. So we're going to hold it.
I just screenshot it. We're good. Don't worry about it. I just screenshot it.
So no, then another thing I would say reword it for, beside the petition, what can her team do to help push this? And of course, Candace, I'll say just spread the petition as much as you can. But Garrick, what else can? And this is my show sponsor. This is Candace Joseph of the Joseph Consulting Firm that I was telling you about, and y'all could connect too on some things. But she has the reach to do some different things. Is there anything that you can think of that her and her team can do to help push this outside of the petition, maybe?
Well, the major thing right now is tapping into resources and relationships. We got to get the right people and have the right people on the team. And it all starts from the petition. Once they take the time out to get to know me and watch this video and really get the chance to know me, then their minds start to wonder and say, look, what can I do? And it's all about duplication. Same thing that you just did. Let's duplicate it. Let's make this thing go viral to where they can't deny it. And it's very easy to do because the heavy lifting is done, guys. You don't have to worry about records. You don't have to worry about this. You don't embezzlement. You don't got to worry about none of that. Yeah. We're good to go. Let's rock.
He ain't hiding no paperwork, huh?
Nah, I'm real transparent, man. I'm probably one of the most transparent guys there is. And the reason I say that is because that's what has to happen. There has to be a level of vulnerability in order for people to really buy into your realism. If I'm a business or if I'm a businessman and I have a business plan, the paperwork is cool. They want to buy into me. So this is what we're doing. I put it out there to take all the bullets and the slugs. And I've done it on purpose because whenever somebody comes after me, I kill them with facts. And then from there, the fact that they came after me, now I'm leaving with 20 to 30 other people that are on the team. So this is real strategic. This is the art of war. Man, come on, man. This is what we do.
Already. Moving to our girl, Mika Diamond. She says, what would Garrick say will be the key to get the fans back excited like they were before with all the changes?
The connection, them having a voice and having somebody that they are able to assess, accessibility, somebody that they can touch, somebody that they can talk to. And that's exactly what I've been doing this entire time. When it comes down to the message boards, when it comes down to the groups, when it comes down to putting different things in play, I've been very strategic about it because I want to connect with the city and I want the city to connect with the team. That's been a big disconnect. H-Town doesn't feel like the Houston Texans are their team, to be honest with you. From the fans that I see, the fans I talk to, they don't feel that connection like other sports. Yeah. And it's time to change that. This has to be a dynamic where this is a melting pot. Houston is one of the most diverse cities in the world. And that's why I've been hosting diversity and inclusion, web series for the last 10 weeks or so. Sorry about that, about 10 weeks or so. So I can be able to associate myself with and connect with everybody of every color, ethnicity. It doesn't matter. You can be an avatar. Come be for the H. Let's put this together. And that's exactly what we've been doing. Yeah.
So there's a couple questions. So I'll get you connected with Candace. She wants to do something. Of course, Mika, she said that's very important. So definitely, I like that answer. I guess I'll shift to, we got our first win, man. And we talked about how the team were playing the way they were playing. What did you see different this past week? And what do you expect moving forward?
I saw the black cloud lift up. I saw that. I saw a group of young men that were excited about playing the game again. I mean, the life had been sucked out of them, to be honest with you. And I've been in positions like that. I've been on 8 different professional teams. So I've been in some good ones and I've been associated with some bad ones. And when you are there and you're under contract and you're obligated to be there, and it's like the worst situation ever, it takes a lot out of you. And that is what they were going through. But as I was telling everybody in the groups, like, this is what's going to happen. The guys are going to play harder. They're going to play harder for each other, and they're going to play hard for Romeo because he deserves that. He's been around a long time. He's a class act guy, and he's one of the guys that you want in your organization in some capacity. So they're going to play hard for him because they want him around. And when your team wants somebody around, it behooves the organization to say, hey, look, let's do a rotation here. If you're not the head coach, we want you in as a consultant. We want you here. And the team is playing just for that, to make sure that he's going to be around and that they're having fun. I mean, the fun is back. And you see that when it comes down to it. And you saw that in this game. So they will play harder. Will they win out? It's hard to say. But there will be a different team on the field. I can promise you that.
Absolutely, man. And so it correct me if I'm wrong. I've been a Texan fan, man. I got my stuff back out, man. I'm feeling good today.
I see it.
Seriously, it crossed my mind when you talked about the mindset and the mentality and how people think. Man, I forgot this dude has 5 Super Bowl rings. I didn't even remember that.
You see that?
Have you ever had a coach that has had a Super Bowl ring? I don't think so. We might have some people on the team, like the coaching staff, but for him to have the possibility of being the head coach and have those rings and know what it takes goes back to exactly what you're saying. So I don't think we've had that. And so in turn, my question is, have you connected with him, or do y'all have a connection? Or are you working on that? Because to have 2 like-minded people, man, I think that'd be awesome.
The fraternity of the NFL is small, compared to a lot of different factions and associations. So we haven't necessarily had dealings, but we've passed each other. And for me to be doing what I'm doing, that's respected. We're blazing trails now. This is when you get into, the movements and, social justice and setting up things for people that follow you to be able to benefit from. And what he's done is open the door for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's to be respected. And when the conversation happens, he's earned the right to be a part of continuing on that legacy because he has the rings, right? You can't stifle that. Once you stifle that and players see that, then you lose them. And that's what was going on, back then. And
he can hit him with
you see what I'm saying? The proof is in the pudding. But when you take that away from a person, or when you don't give them their just due, and you just hush up and hang over there and that doesn't work. So his voice will be loud and clear and it'll be heard. And that's the respect, just because I know what that looks like. I know what it takes. And I know that I didn't get a championship, right? I got close. So for him to have those things, I get the opportunity to live vicariously through him. And for me to be in this position now, he gets the opportunity to live vicariously through me. And we keep passing that down. And that's how you break these generational curses. So no, he's going to be good. He will be good. He will be good.
Yeah, that's strong, brother. So we're going to shift back to a couple questions. First one being from Miss, I don't know if it's Miss or Mr., but Lino Garcia. What changes will be made to make players feel like they're not playing just because it's a job, but something they want to do?
It goes back to what I said about players play harder for other players. The respect will be there from day one. I will respect you as a man. I will respect you as a woman. I will respect you as a person. I will leave you and I will leave them with their dignity after they speak with me. And from there, that's where the buy-in is. So it doesn't take long. Just that you give me 2 conversations with a person, they'll buy in. And that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's good, man. Next question is from our girl Mika. She says, now there is the email submission now in play. How important is it's an additional step in the game for the GM process? What's the next step so we can prepare for it in the process?
Well, number 1 is the petition. Number 2 is the email situation. And that's Texans fan feedback, something like that. I have to look at that, and I posted that earlier.
Okay.
If
you'll text me, if you'll text me when we get off, I'll post it too.
Gotcha. So that'll be the next step, and that's basically emailing the organization and telling them, "Hey, this is the guy. This is the guy." Right. And then from there, with the consulting agency that the Texans hired, that's another step. Reaching out to them. This is the guy. Because I feel as if no one has ever done, I won't say I feel, I know no one has ever done anything like this. And to include the fans shows solidarity. It shows us working together. And it also gives you that voice to be heard. It's just like voting. If you don't show up and vote, you don't have a voice. Where I'm from, if you don't go, cast that ballot, shut up.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. So if you want to see this change and you believe in what I'm saying, you need to make yourself seen, and they need to be able to see you and count you and have accountability to the situation. So if you want a Super Bowl, if you want somebody that's going to go in there and every day is going to be an intentional person when it comes down to dealing with everybody in that building and changing that culture and being a voice for you, sign that petition, comment, share with your people. Then from there, email the organization and let them know, hey, he's our guy. And then we'll have the other email information set up in phase 3. So we got 6 phases to this thing, but let's run. And I'll be consistent each and every day, 365 days a year, while I'm dealing with my wife, while I'm dealing with the kids, while I'm dealing with my things. This is life. We're in this thing together. This is a family. So let's do it.
And I love that approach, man. So something that makes me want to ask is, when is the final step? Is there a time frame that you can put to get to the final step, or is it just as long as it takes type of situation?
That's a good question. From what I'm seeing and what I'm gathering, they won't begin interviewing until after the season.
Okay.
So we're going to work while we wait.
Yeah.
I've already sent in my resume. I've already requested to be, considered a candidate because of the Rooney Rule. You know, they have to interview 2 minorities. I just want to be one of the 2.
Yeah.
Right. That way, once I come in the room, I'll change the atmosphere. I have access through, various platforms when it comes down to being over there in the building. And that's from being a former player with the Texans Legends community. So it'll be some in passing type of situations where I'll get a chance to say, hey, listen, did you get my email? Or, just ask questions. But what we're going to do is we're going to work. And as a family of all of the former fans that are now family, we're going to work and we're going to be heard, and we're going to really put this thing together. And that's what it'll be. So by the time the interview comes, I will have everything in place. I already have staffs that I have picked out. I have proposals. I will be able to show them, 7 or 8 different points that will affect that bottom line in a positive manner, and that will help them get over the hump of COVID. When it really comes down to it, there won't be a candidate that they can bring in that's going to outdo me. Simple as that. And you guys got to believe that, man. And I'll show you.
Look, I'll read this comment to you. You already sold one person. Lino Garcia says, not a question, just want to say I'm sold. Heard Jones in another podcast now seeing him here shows that he is and willing to hear us fans in the office. So for me, I hope he becomes the Texans GM because that's what we need. Absolutely, man. And I want everybody feeling this way, and I know you do too. And Mika, we're going to get to your question next. But what I want to segue off to is I think this is big right here. I know they already know what it means. So tell the people and the listeners how they can go about getting this, what they need to do, because we don't have to say nothing. We can just have this on, and just go there.
So with the hashtag GJ for GM movement, it's really very simple, guys. When you go online, you can search out hashtag GJ for GM. Everything that I'm posting, everything that I'm talking about, all interviews, articles, everything has that hashtag. And that was the first phase. So the second phase now is to get the t-shirts and apparel on you guys, where you now take the pictures and you hashtag GJ for GM. And all of those will pop up. So if we have 1 million people in these shirts that are hashtagging it, all of that comes up. So now we become viral. And what I'm doing with this movement is once you guys post, that you got the shirt on, whatever the deal is, I'm going to take all of those pictures and you guys will be a part of my proposal in my presentation when it comes down to talking with the Texans, the organizations. So outside of talking about fan re-engagement, you guys will be part of that. And what we will be doing is we will be going live, I'm going to say maybe tomorrow, when it comes down to taking orders for the shirts. But you're going to have the opportunity to purchase these shirts. You're going to have the opportunity to be a part of this movement and be a part of something that's going to make history. Yeah. So everything that I do is geared toward us being family and bridging that gap. So we're able to do this thing together, because I can't do this without you. I really can't. And I need you guys.
Yep.
And that's what it is.
That's good, man. That's good. So getting to Mika talking about she need a shirt, she needs socks, everything. And brother, we got you. We'll talk more about that live situation. I got some ideas, but Mika says she's like me, man. You got to ask the questions for the people. Her question, question just for those who may want to know. Does it have to be a Texan native, or can anyone sign and push by emails, etc.? I know the answer. I'm just asking in case others want to know.
No, you don't have to be a Texas native. You don't have to live in the city of Houston. You can just be a fan of Garrick Jones or whoever. You can be a fan of change. You can be a change agent. You can be a fan of transparency and family. You know, this is your movement. I'm just a vessel. You know, this is something that I've worked all my life to be in this position and never knew that this is what it was for. So you guys have the power. You know, I want to be a voice for that change. So you can, I have people that have reached out to me from Paris, people that have reached out to me from Africa. Oh man, some of the messages that I get, man, they're so uplifting because people are like, this is what we need. This is what we want to see. And these are people that, because of how the internet is structured and everything, that you would never see these people if we didn't travel to these countries. And they are like, we are behind you 110%. And those people are part of the presentation and the proposal. Like, I have these messages for.
So you're telling me your campaign is now international for the city of Houston?
Man,
that's what I'm talking about, brother.
And that's what it's about. You know, it's about people buying into it. And I'll be honest and frank with you guys. These are the things that I'm doing are the things that we teach our athletes in the State's Developmental Football League. So this is proof of concept, right? This is a part of the maturation of the business. This is the beta testing that people need to see. We're about to change the world, and you got to believe that. And it's going to be one signature at a time, one email at a time, and it's going to be consistent because tomorrow, no matter how tired I am, no matter how many different Zoom meetings or streams I'm on, or who I'm going to meet, you're going to see me tomorrow, you know, Lord willing. And even in that event that I'm not here anymore, we've set off the chain reaction. So it'll never stop. And you got to believe it.
Yeah. And that's big, man. And I mean, we got together in a short amount of time, you know, so I know this is another fact that you'll make it happen, man, you know. And we got that win, and I'm like, oh yeah, now's the time. And when they got rid of him, that was really the big thing. I got to call my boy now. Let's get it done, you know. So the campaign, everything that it takes, and you mentioned the internet, everything is data driven. So I hear you keep mentioning how you have those emails, you have those texts, and you have this, that, and the other. Speak a little bit more for the folks who might not have got it yet, how important it is for you to be able to go back and have a playbook of emails and a playbook of text messages and all the support that you get, you know, through paper or via the internet. How important that is for them to, you know, put that stuff out there.
Right. It's very important for the simple fact that when you go and you apply for a job, they're going to ask you for your references. They may give you 3 slots. I want to give them 100,000 references. And that's the fans. I want them to see what the fans want. And I want to be what the fans want. And I want to be the conduit for that. So in a sense, you guys are my references. You know, I can bring in big name guys and this, that, and the third. Okay, they're going to call them. But let me slide you this 40 or 50 pages of comments, of signatures. So you really see the dynamic of what's being brought to the table. Because I guarantee you, nobody that they will bring into that office for an interview will have that behind him. And this is what this thing is about. This is a new movement, man.
Yeah. And you spoke on it a little bit, man. Let's put it in reference to the stadium. You know, you bring ticket sales to the table. So you're trying to give 100,000 references. How big is the stadium? How many seats are in the stadium?
Like 70,000 or something like that.
And you trying to bring 100,000. So you selling out the arena every week.
You got to look at it like this. And this is the funny thing. This is the funny thing that people don't realize, because they see athletes' salaries being published. Right? You got to look at how much money is being generated for that organization. Like I say, just myself alone, from the numbers I have, I can bring in $12.5 million per game. That's all games, home and away. You know, and after this next year, 17 games. Right? And then I get my salary. I've generated more for the organization than I would be paid. So we get paid well. And when I played, we got paid well, but we didn't get paid what we were worth. And people don't understand that. And it's all about education. So once you get it and understand what's happening and how we can make it right and how we can do what we do, and we can change the bottom line even more so for these organizations and change the bottom line for us as well. And that's the maturation of it. You know, we have to be able to make sure that these athletes know that when you're done playing, your family is going to be taken care of for life, because I have the blueprint for that. And that's what we've been testing the entire time during my situation with the State's Developmental Football League. Those are the plans that I want to bring into play that nobody else has. And then having the fans having a voice when they're able to go to a game and really get away and see some of the things that they wanted to see, as opposed to I'm just paying my money and nobody's listening. No, we got to change that.
Yeah. That's my man Robert Cole, man. Shout out for you. He's been listening from the jump, man. So shout out to you, Rob. He said the best of luck on your journey, GJ, and the fans are the key. You know, basically saying you get it. And Rob, again, if you have any questions, man, put them up there. But yeah, man. I mean, it's amazing to hear all the things that you're saying, and you know, you get it. I mean, there's nothing else I can say. You get it, you got it, and it's a done deal. Coach Brown, man, shout out to Coach Brown. He says, hey, he asked him if he have talked to ND Kalua on 790 AM yet. He looking for this talk too. So I guess it's another platform to spread the word.
Right. Yeah. Now, ND's a good guy. I've reached out to him a couple of times. I'm gonna give him guys a little time to come around. This is where I am. I'm grassroots right now. So you have, you know, guys like ND, other guys like Seth, you know, those guys that have 610, all these talk shows. I get that. That's more of a local type situation, but we're gonna go through this first, and then they'll come later in the next phase, and then that's when you get to the first takes and all these other old guys that do their thing. I want to connect with my people first.
Yeah,
you know, those guys, they know me. They played with me, right? They know me, and they know that this is how I've been the entire time for my career, and even after I was done, even before I had made it to the league. So those guys know. You know, we see each other. We'll see each other in the next week or so at the Green Bay situation. So we have the Texans homecoming, and I know once I see them, you know, everybody's just gonna start smiling like, okay, we get it. So how can we? Let's go ahead and get the show going. You know, so we'll talk. I'll see ND in a minute.
It's intentional. I see you, man. It's
man. I'm everything I do has some type of intent and has a purpose. I don't just do it just because.
And look, I'm gonna throw this out there. It might be too much, but I'm gonna just put it out there. Coach Alvin Brown III, he's one of my T-shirt people, you know. So we might can put something together with this GJ for GM. He might be willing to do a little something. We'll figure it out. You know, I'm gonna just throw that out there. But my boy Robert, he says, what would be your organization shakeup for the good?
Bringing me through the door. The wrap. We what we're doing right now is shaking up the industry. You know, the NFL is looking for something. You know, they need this, right? They need the people, because without the people, you know, they don't have anything. So without the players, they don't have an engine for their car. So you just got a $1 billion paperweight, if you will. So as far as the shakeup is concerned, you know, bringing me through the door and letting us run and letting us put together this championship team and letting us making sure that these athletes are going to be as successful as they want to be, and even more so. So we're doing a good job. The shakeup is you taking what I'm saying today and you're posting it on your page. Because I can come share from your page all day, but those people don't know me. They know you, though.
Right.
They know you.
Right.
So the shakeup is us getting the petition out there and getting our people to really take the time out and just encourage you. Take your time, learn about this guy. And if he's your cup of tea, you sign it and you share it. So it's all about duplication. And remember, everything I'm talking about is what we preach in my league. When it comes down to branding, marketing, ancillary programs, residual incomes, I'm doing what I preach. So this is intentional now.
Okay. And look, this I think is an important question too. You know, because there's intricate parts of it that I don't even understand. But becoming the GM, what does that actually mean? What power does that give you, or what what role does the GM play? We'll just say it, just keep it simple for the folks who are football fans but may not understand all the different roles. What does the GM, what does that give you the power to do?
Well, your GM is going to be over your player personnel, anything football related, anything that has to do with bringing guys in, your scouts, all the different aspects of your cap. They're going to be over those things, but they got a team under them, and they have to work hand in hand with that team. So I tell people all the time, it would be foolish to think that one person can do all of this stuff. They think GM, you got to do all it. No, it's about the team that you have and you giving clear and concise directions as to what needs to happen, delegating, and then from there, having everybody buy into the vision. And if you're not a good leader, and if you're not, equipped to be able to deal with differences and you're flying off the handle, and you're doing things with emotion, all the decisions being made from emotions 9 times out of 10 are the wrong ones. So you have to have somebody that's flexible, somebody that's forward thinking, somebody that's an intentional leader. All those things have to be encompassed in that general manager, because you can have somebody that's just purely about X's and O's and he won't connect with his soul, but he knows his numbers. No, it doesn't work like that. You bring a team in after that, and that's when all the magic happens. So then you get to your coaches, and then eventually you have your players. So everybody's an extension of that leader. So if there's dismay in that organization, it starts and it ends with leadership.
That's good. So the whole thing is you'll be the blanket over the whole organization. So what you feel, what you do should be reflected through everybody and every part of the organization is what you're telling me.
Right. Because the moment something happens and something doesn't happen, I'll be the face of that. It's about accountability. Same thing with a quarterback. You got all these other guys out there playing, but they're going to go to the quarterback first. If those other guys aren't doing their job, the quarterback can't do his job. So they're going to ask him, well, what's going on? What's wrong? Now he has to answer. So I'd be the face of the deal. You have your executive aspect, that deals with sponsorships and marketing and promotions. Your GM won't necessarily deal with that unless that's a part of his background. And now I have a background in that too now, but player personnel, those types of things,
Okay. And speaking of player personnel, we've talked about D-Hop. We talked about Deshaun Watson. Let's talk about the other big name and however you view him. My question really with this is how much time he got left. Our man, J.J. Watt, how do you see that situation?
Well, JJ he's earned the right to say what he wants to do. And the reason I say that is because he's a player that has been dynamic. He's a player that's good for the community. He's a player that's good for the bottom line. And he's fought back from various injuries. He's done a lot in his career, but people got to understand that ball players cannot play forever. JJ's at the end of his career, and he's married now. So that's a different dynamic than when he first came in. He's older. So he's starting to do shows and all these other different things. And people have to understand he's setting himself up to when he hangs up the cleats, he's walking right into something.
Yeah.
So he understands that. So the conversation would be just that. I say, JJ, what do you want to do? And then we would have that conversation from there and predicated on what he would want to do. We would say, okay, well, let's just say hypothetically, JJ says, you know what? I had a good conversation with my mom and my father. And I think, what would be best for me is she wants to see me and my brothers play together. So then I would get on the phone with the Steelers and say, hey, listen, we got J.J. Watt here. We know you got his 2 brothers there. Mom and Pops want to see him play together. How do we work this out? And then we would begin talking trade situations. How do we make that work? But if JJ says, you know what, I buy into what it is that you're doing. I'm buying in and I respect what you did to get here. I think we can get this thing. I'll say, well, JJ, let's make this run.
That's what's up, man. Practice.
Just like that.
Yeah.
It's real. This isn't hard. This isn't rocket science. This is common sense, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. This is about knowing your players and knowing your personnel. This is about knowing people and communicating with people and meeting them where they are and getting the best out of the situation for all parties involved. And that's what I intend to do.
And that's strong, man. That's another example of being intentional. And for what I do, it's not chess, it's checkers. Like you say, it's common sense, but it's a game of chess, man. So
Yeah.
you definitely have to work those pieces.
Yeah.
Let's see. We have another question. Says, "What's up, Makiba?" That's what my girl said. What JJ wants to do and what JJ is capable of doing are two different things. Okay. Yeah, I do believe that, and that was what I was gonna say too. And we're coming to the end of time, so I respect the time. Um, uh, him wanting to do things, that's something people have to understand. Like you said, they can't play forever.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of the Rob Gronkowski type of deal. That boy got
Absolutely.
beat up, over his career, and you see him now just wild out having fun, as people would say. But
Absolutely.
that's because his body is broke down,
Right.
So that's important for us to understand. Definitely.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing about it. JJ's still a viable option on that field. I played
Yeah.
offensive line my entire career.
Yeah.
I would rather play against somebody other than JJ. I can promise you that. So he's good. He's all right. It's just everybody else buying into it and being professional and doing their job. And he still commands attention. So people got to understand that. Like, he's not a regular guy, even though he's had injuries and had to fight back, and he's at the end of his career. He's still a viable option, and it's about taking what you have and getting the best out of those guys. You got to understand those guys been operating at 30 and 40% over the last 4 or 5 years. When I step through the door, we're going to get at least 85 to 100% out of those guys.
Come on, step it up.
So you will see a difference.
When the last time you seen JJ getting double team and triple team and him complaining about it? He was playing hard this past weekend, man, and they had to do it because he was in that backfield constantly.
They had to do it, and like I say, I know what that was. He's playing harder. The guys are loose now. Yeah. And when you bring that coaching staff in that they believe in, and you bring that general manager in that they believe in and that they hadn't seen before, you're going to have an entirely different aspect when it comes down to the level of participation, the level of competitiveness. All of those aspects will come together as one. And you're talking Super Bowl, because like I say, you got to understand, I'm talking Super Bowl. I'm not talking rebuild. I'm not talking we need to be like the New England Patriots, or we need to be like the Atlanta Falcons, or whoever. I'm talking about we need to be like the Houston Texans and establish our own identity and make our own runs and give the city something to cheer about. And like I say, you're going to have those guys that are going to come through that door, and they're going to be talking about being like somebody else. And then you got me coming through the door, and I'm not talking about any of that. I'm the industry shakeup. So let's get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, I'm going to say this, man, and then is one more question because of time. I'll make it the last question, and then you can end with whatever you want the people to know. But so I'm going to say, thanks for being on the show, brother. It's been an awesome show. I thank you for engaging all of my viewers and my listeners. And just giving us a whole new outlook, man. It's just crazy. It's amazing. I'm excited about it, and I hope it happens, which goes into what I wanted to say, which you can speak on is, the GM thing might not happen, but you also talk about just getting in the organization as well, getting into where your voice matters. So speak on that. And then also the question is, I'll keep it short. It's about getting D-Hop back. Is that something that you can see possibly happening? And then also just whatever else you want the people to know, man. And then we'll close out. And again, I appreciate you being on the show. For anybody who's listening, anybody who's been watching, I believe this man has given you all the information you need to follow and go to the JG for GM, go sign the petition, and just get behind it, man. So go ahead, brother.
When it comes down to the general manager push, you'll have a lot of people that will say you don't have the experience. And I'll quickly come back and say, well, think about Kansas City when they brought Patrick Mahomes in and what he did as a rookie, right? He came in and did what he did and what he wanted to do in such a way to where that organization allowed him to be free. And that success came with you having a young, up and coming, forward-thinking mind out there on the field. You didn't stifle that because this isn't how we do it. The model of this is how we've always done it is the wrong one. You know, when you have people that come in and they have fresh new ideas and they haven't been tainted by what they can't do from somebody telling them that, you have history being made, you know, and you got to understand that as an organization, you have to understand that. As fans, you have to understand that, because people will tell you all day, you know, what you can't do. And we had that discussion earlier. Why not? You know, you can tell me why all day, but I'm like, why not? You know, why can't we do this? So when it comes down to being a part of the organization, you know, the GM situation, that's the main goal for me. But I have so many different facets to myself in regards to diversity and inclusion. You know, I don't think that the Texans have a department that deals with diversity and inclusion. So that's always an option. It's always an option as far as being a part of the organization. And even before I left the Texan organization, I had a conversation with Bob McNair, and he told me, listen, you'll always have a job here with our organization. But for me, in the conversation that we had, I said, with all due respect, the next time I come to the table, it'll be a 50-50 partnership. And I never did get a chance to get that done before he passed, but I'm here now. And I want to honor that conversation that we had. But if the organization said, look, we want to go a different direction than GM and we want to bring you here and we want to do that, I'd look at it. But the conversation would be, you know, that the general manager situation is what I want. And you got to understand that that's what I'm going to be after, because I intend to come in and hold people accountable. I intend to come in and compete the same way I did on the field, because it was driven in me that they were going to bring guys in that were going to compete with me and make me better. Somebody was going to win that starting spot. So it should be the same in upper management. And that's the mentality that's going to be brought to the table. And they also have to understand that there are other teams that are looking at this. It's not just the Texans. This type of fire and desire goes wherever I go. And it's the same when I was a player. So you got Detroit that may be looking. You have the Falcons that may have the same company that's consulting, bringing in these people. But to have a consultant go find you somebody, that's one thing. But to have the fans say what they want and find you somebody, that's an entirely different animal. And that's the game we're playing today. So,
yeah, absolutely. And lastly, on the D-Hop thing, you feel like that's something to think about, him coming back home?
Man, yes, sir. That will always be a part of the conversation. You know, that will always be a part of the conversation, trying to figure out how to make that happen. You know, so I'll leave that at that. But just understand that'll be part of the conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And shout out to Makiva. She's just getting in. She's shooting a bunch of stuff, so I'll just put it up. But brother, I mean, is there any last words you want to leave with the people, man? Anything you want them to know? Again, I'm just gonna keep saying, sign the petition, spread the petition, do the emails. You know, that's where I'm at with it.
I just tell people, you know, together, you know, we can make the difference, and it's going to take all of us. You know, I want to be the voice for that movement. I want to be a vessel for the movement, but it's going to take you guys getting behind it and you guys really putting it out there and tapping into your networks. And we do this thing organically. I mean, I can go out and buy ads all day, but that's fluff. You know, that's fluff. It's a lot like marketing. People talk about putting these $1 million marketing campaigns together just to beat something in your head that this is the best option when it's really not. I want this movement to be organic so the people understand exactly what I'm bringing to the table. And after that, and after you guys get it, you can go to bat for me, because I won't be able to be in all these different places at one time. So we have to do this thing together, and you guys be an extension of what this movement is and what this movement means for the NFL. And what this movement means for social justice, what this movement means for diversity and inclusion, what this movement means for generations to come. I won't see all of the changes that will happen, you know, from this movement, but I know before I check out of here, we got to start it. And that's what this thing is all about. It's about us coming together and working as one in unison as a team. Teamwork really does make the dream work, as cliche as it sounds, but this is what we are here for. Let's work together. Let's make some things happen, and let's start having some fun, man. When my great grandparents left, when they passed away, they didn't leave me anything. I'm like, but you worked all this time.
Yeah.
You've done this. So the buck stops with us. You know, it's never too late to get started. And this is exactly what we're doing. So let's make this thing happen together.
Absolutely, man. Well, look, we've reached the end. I appreciate your time, brother, the sacrifice, because I know it's something definitely else that you could have been doing, but now you get the chance to go do that. Keep pushing, stay the course. Another not king and queen conversation, but king conversation. That's the series I'm running right now, man. So I appreciate you being part of this, and salute everybody on here is definitely behind you. I know we're gonna keep backing you. And we'll be in touch about these different phases, man, to see, just how myself and how my group of people can keep standing behind that, brother. So salute to you, man, and all the hard work you put in, man.
Appreciate it, man. Let's make this history that other people read about, man. Let's do it.
Absolutely. And this is the Reach Podcast Show with LeVar Ellis, our very special guest, Mr. Garrick Jones. Don't forget the GJ for GM. And let's own it. It's our time. Why not now? 2020 vision, rest of the year. Salute to you, brother.
Thank you, brother.
All right.